One of the brightest new dancing stars in films and television is a young lady named Barrie Chase. In the past year, Barrie gained a great deal of attention and the acclaim of critics as Fred Astaire's newest dancing partner. Barrie Chase was born in New York City, spent her early years in Kings Point, Long Island, and then moved to California with her family at the age of 7. She studied ballet and got her first movie job at the age of 14 dancing a minuet. She worked in several film choruses, became an assistant to choreographer Jack Cole, before she was picked to dance with Fred Astaire, both in films and in his television spectaculars. Barrie Chase lives on the lower floor of this house high in the Hollywood Hills, just above Sunset Boulevard. Hello, Barrie.
Hello, Charles.
I'd almost expected to find you strenuously working out a new dance routine. What are you up to?
Just enjoying a lovely day and waiting for you.
Well, it is a lovely day, but Barrie, most dancers that I've spoken with have mentioned that even when they're not working in a show, they have to keep in condition by constant working out. How about you?
Well, that's what you should do, but it isn't what I do. That's kind of bad. I'm lazy, and I just don't have the drive to get to something when I don't know what I'm getting to.
But when you do have something in the works, a show coming up, how long does it take you to get into training for it?
Well, it takes me a little longer, I guess, but I work for about a month or two anyway before rehearsals start.
That's a lot. Do you do any of that training right here at home?
No, I don't. I just live here. I have a very extensive grounds here, all of L.A. Fortunately, it's a smogless day and you can see it.
Oh, that's a wonderful view. It's all laid out right in front of you, the whole of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
How far can you see, Barrie?
Oh, I'm told about 15 miles.
Barrie, you first gained national attention with the first Fred Astaire television show. How long have you been dancing?
Since a very little girl. I guess I started studying ballet when I was 7.
You always wanted to be a dancer.
Yes, I studied classical ballet, and I wanted to be a ballerina when I was a little girl. And then when we moved out here, I eventually went into the medium of films because that was the work that was here. And I gave up dancing about a year before I did the first Astaire show.
Why was that?
Well, I had worked in a lot of choruses. I had assisted Jack Cole, and then that was it. There didn't seem any place to go from there. No one wanted to do anything for me, and there was sort of an inverse feeling about experience. If you've been around for a few years, working in the medium, and nothing happened, why? What's the matter with her, you know? So I just quit, and I started to study dramatics, and I started doing bits and approaching from another area.
And then you got back into dancing, which was your early ambition, even when you were a little girl back in Long Island.
Yes, my dad would always pick places to live in where there were no other people. So I had an imaginary world, and I was very fanciful in creating things. But eventually, when I got to school, I was pretty good at softball.
A softball player, were you? What position did you play?
Left field.
Good hitter?
No, not too good.
Good field.
Good catcher.
Well, I suppose you've given up such strenuous activities now. Do you spend a lot of time here at home, Barrie?
Yes, I do. I'll take you on my 32nd grand tour. This is the living room.
Oh, what a pretty room.
Thank you. And the kitchen.
Well, that's quite a kitchen. What kind of gourmet dishes are you most famous for?
Gourmet? Well, none. Basic steak and basic potatoes, and fortunately I like them.
Well, there's nothing wrong with them. Barrie, which do you prefer working in, pictures or television?
Well, that's a strange question for me to answer, in that television was the medium that gave me a chance. I know the workings of pictures because I'd worked behind the stage and in choruses, but I really had nothing to do to express myself in that medium. There used to be that only in pictures in a dance routine could you cut and stop and get your breath, which is great. But now television has that. There's tape. And so I'd like to work in both the mediums.
Well, Barrie, Fred Astaire has long been one of the great contemporary dancers. How did it feel to be working with him?
Well, I was scared and worried and skeptical that I could measure up to what he would ask of me.
He's very exacting of himself, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Did you find that learning some of his complex routines was fairly difficult for you?
It was difficult for me, and I think it was more difficult for him to teach them to me. I have a very annoying, and I guess bad for other people that are in the rehearsal hall, a way of working. I tend to tear everything apart. They'll show you something, and I might do it, and they say, that's fine, do it that way again. And then I start to worry about it, and I start to think about it, and I wonder, what did I do, and what was it made up of? And I look terrible. I expose all my faults. It's very annoying.
Well, you were trained for classical dancing. Did you also study modern dance?
No, I never formally studied it. I studied a classical ballet, and when I went for a job, of course, in the films, that wasn't what they were doing, and it was rough on the choreographers that hired me because I had to pick it up and watch and try to do it.
Was it difficult to make the transition?
It was difficult for them, again. In ballet, there is a very formalized technique where everything is very exact. Your hands are exact and your feet are exact. And the exactness is abnormal. It's contrary to the normal way of standing. Everything's turned out. And they would say, now you turn like so. And go ahead, do that now. And I'd think, well, let's see, was that a glissade? I was trying to put it in ballet terms.
Well, I see what you mean. Which do you enjoy most, classical or modern jazz dancing?
I enjoy the modern, the jazz, because I have more freedom in it to do the things that I want to do. I don't feel as restricted as I did in ballet.
Do you like it all, or are there some of the conventions of the modern dance that you don't like so much?
There is a pet hate step that I have that you see on television. It's a very good step, I suppose, because you travel. It gets people in and out, and they see the split camera coming in and out. It's a moving step, and it's also a step that is, you can make it different styles. If they want a ballet thing, they go like that. And then if they want jazz, they go like that.
I see exactly what you mean because I've seen it done so often on television. It's a very familiar step. Barrie, to us non-dancers, it's sometimes very difficult to define for ourselves the difference between classical and modern dancing. Now, how would you define it?
Well, I am no authority on this subject, Charles, at all. I have a few of my own notions about it. I feel that ballet is, generally speaking, either very lyrical, and because it deals with ethereal things and animals, or the dancers are inanimate objects doing technique. Whereas in jazz, it's something of the time and of the people expressing an emotion and the story, a mood. And ballet, you kind of move. It's very up, I think. And in jazz, you get down. Every choreographer always yells at you when you're doing jazz, dig it, hit it. And that's my theory.
Well, it's a very good one. And for you, you find that digging in, the modern dancing, allows you to express yourself more than the rigid style of classical ballet.
It does allow me to, because I don't have to think about technique, the form. I think in ballet it's based on a very formal thing, each position, and you start to think there's a line to it. in modern dancing, there's a line, too. That's where your beauty comes in, why you appreciate a certain step. But the line comes from a mood and from an attitude or something you're expressing rather than a formal, already set technique.
But the formal technique of classical ballet must have been helpful to you in this other kind of dancing.
Oh, yeah. Gee, I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Barrie, that's a very instructive explanation. What's next on the Barrie Chase schedule?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer in that I am under contract at 20th Century Fox, and they kind of govern what I do or don't do. However, I have been asked to do the next Astaire show, and I hope I'm able to do it.
Well, that's a compliment. I hope you are, too. I'm sure you want to do it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what do you hope to do, Barrie? Do you have any one big, overriding ambition?
I have about 30 big overriding ambitions. I have lots of things I want to do. I want to do a straight part, and I want to go to New York and live for a while. I want to travel, lots and lots of things.
Well, I don't see any reason why you can't do them all. What would be perfect if you had a New York show in which you danced and played a straight part, and then it went on the road or went to Europe or something like that?
Something like that.
Would you really like to do that?
Not quite all at one time, please.
But if you go into dramatic acting, you don't want to give up dancing completely, do you?
No, that's a first love. No, I
Because
don't.
you're so awfully good at it, just demonstrating those things
Oh.
for us.
Thank you.
Well, Barrie, thank you for letting us come and visit you today.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.